Have you ever looked at a totally revolutionary product and thought, man, how did they actually pull that off? Take Bob Montgomery, for example. He spent 16 grueling years on a quest to create the Powerski jetboard. It's this wild, high-performance, engine-propelled surfboard that actually ended up winning Time magazine's Best Invention of the Year. But here's the secret most people completely miss. Inventing the product, going through thousands of design changes, that's really only about 10% of the battle. The real challenge, the absolute make or break moment for any company, is figuring out how to efficiently produce that thing at scale.
Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're diving deep to unpack the hidden mechanics that power exactly how products are made, how services are delivered, and really, how businesses survive in the real world. We are talking about the absolute invisible engine of the business world, operations management. Okay, let's dive into this. We've got 5 main areas to hit today. First, the transformation process. Second, planning manufacturing operations. Third, scheduling and technology. Fourth, managing service operations. And finally, number 5, quality and outsourcing.
So starting right off with Chapter 1, the transformation process.
To really anchor our understanding here, let's quickly define what we're actually talking about. Operations management is all the activities involved in transforming a product idea into a finished product and managing the process that converts inputs into outputs. Basically, think of it as that invisible engine taking raw, untamed resources and converting them into the polished goods and services we buy every single day. And this brilliantly illustrates the transformation process as a kind of mechanism. On one side, you've got your inputs, materials, labor, money, and information. Then, the operations manager oversees that crucial transformation process right in the middle, making absolutely sure those raw inputs are efficiently converted into outputs, the finished goods and services. If this process is clunky or too expensive, well, the business fails. It really is that simple. Moving right along to Chapter 2, planning manufacturing operations. Whenever a company makes a physical product, they have to choose a production method. And honestly, it's always this massive trade-off between customization and speed. So you've got make to order, which gives you highly customized stuff, but takes way longer. Then there's mass production, which just churns out huge volumes of identical goods super fast. But today, a lot of companies are hitting the sweet spot with mass customization. They mass produce a product up to a certain point and then customize it just for you. Think of Nike ID letting you design your own sneakers, or Levi's offering online fitting. It's the best of both worlds, the sheer speed of mass production combined with the personalized touch of a custom order. Okay, so once you figure out how you're making a product, you have to decide where to make it. And let me tell you, choosing a factory location is a seriously complex balancing act. You have to weigh shipping costs, resource costs, and the overall business climate. Just look at the Lego Group. They recently decided to build a massive $1 billion manufacturing plant down in Virginia. Why there? Well, Virginia offered this perfect blend: access to highly skilled workers, great transport links, in a really supportive environment for high-quality manufacturers. It's literally never just about finding the cheapest plot of land. It's about establishing a smart, strategic hub. All right, let's jump into Chapter 3, scheduling and technology. We've all heard that time is money, right? Well, in manufacturing, that is absolutely crucial. To keep a tight grip on the timing of every single operation, managers rely on foundational scheduling tools like the Gantt chart. Named after its designer, Henry Gantt, this is an incredibly easy-to-use graphical tool that helps managers quickly determine the status of their projects and schedule out specific activities over a timeline. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it works in practice. When you apply it to the step-by-step creation of, say, 100 Vermont teddy bears, you can see exactly how different activities overlap. But you've got to pay attention. Look closely at the sewing and stuffing stage. As an operations manager, you have to watch this part like a hawk because it extends all the way to day 8. And there is absolutely no way those bears can be dressed until that stage is 100% finished. But wait, what happens when your production process is vastly more complex than making teddy bears? That's exactly when managers bring in a PERT chart. This diagram organizes activities into the most efficient sequence possible, and crucially, it identifies what's known as the critical path. The critical path is simply that specific sequence of activities that takes the longest amount of time to complete. So, breaking down the production of a single teddy bear, you'll see multiple interconnected paths happening all at once, like the accessories are being made at the exact same time the fur is being cut. But if you follow the main sequence, cutting, sewing and stuffing, dressing, packaging, and finally shipping, that whole process takes exactly 65 minutes. That right there is our critical path. And here is the golden rule of operations. Saving time anywhere other than that 65-minute critical path will not speed up the overall job one single bit. You absolutely have to optimize the critical path if you want to gain real efficiency. Of course, optimization isn't just about scheduling. It also comes from technology. Remember Bob Montgomery and his jetboard from earlier? He actually made over 400 design changes using computer-aided design, or CAD. And the magic happens when you link that to computer-aided manufacturing, CAM. You can send those digital designs straight to the machines that physically build the components. If you've ever watched a 3D printer at work, perfectly laying down material from a digital file, you've literally seen CAD/CAM technology in action. Let's move to and see how this builds into something even larger. When a company integrates literally all aspects of its operations, you get computer integrated manufacturing, or CIM. This is the whole shebang. It automates everything. It goes way beyond just robotic arms welding car frames on a BMW factory floor. A true CIM system is simultaneously handling order entry, tracking inventory, and managing shipping. It creates this beautiful, seamless, automated loop right from the customer's initial order all the way to final delivery. Moving right along to Chapter 4, Managing Service Operations. Now, we're doing a sharp pivot. We are leaving the world of factories and robots behind to talk about intangible services. And get this, services actually make up a massive 80% of all U.S. jobs. There is a huge difference between manufacturing and service operations. Manufacturers produce tangible goods, physical, standardized items made long before you ever use them. Services, on the other hand, are completely intangible. They're often highly customized, like getting a haircut or visiting the hospital. But here's the kicker. Services are bought and consumed simultaneously. That means the quality of a service operation heavily relies on direct, real-time contact with the customer. To really wrap our heads around the daily reality of service operations, let's look at Burger King. Think about this. They handle over 12 million global customers every single day, and they operate using a make-to-order model. They're building sandwiches one at a time to satisfy individual customer requests, rather than just grabbing a pre-made burger off a heat rack. Successfully managing that level of customization at that immense, mind-boggling scale requires absolutely flawless operational planning. And you know, sometimes the most massive operational wins come from the tiniest little changes. Decades ago, Burger King restaurants were huge, like 4,000 square feet huge. Part of the reason was they needed tons of space just to store pallets of bulky cardboard burger boxes. But by making one incredibly simple operational change, folding a paper wrapper instead of using a rigid box, they saved so much storage space that they were able to shrink new restaurant designs down to just 1,000 square feet. That tiny tweak unlocked their ability to open highly profitable locations in prime, high-traffic real estate like airports and mall food courts, where every inch of space is a premium. Talk about a game changer. And that brings us to our final section, Chapter 5, Quality and Outsourcing. So the crucial point here is that true quality isn't just some department tacked onto the end of an assembly line. It is a massive organization-wide commitment. In the business world, this is called Total Quality Management, or TQM. It basically relies on three main pillars. First, letting the customer define what satisfaction actually means. Second, getting every single employee involved in spotting and solving problems. And third, a relentless, non-stop commitment to continuous improvement. And when a company gets incredibly serious about that continuous improvement, they lean on statistical process control. Just look at this staggering number, 99.99966%. That right there is the legendary Six Sigma standard. If an operation actually achieves Six Sigma, it means they are making only 3.4 defects for every 1 million opportunities. It is literally the absolute pinnacle of an operation running with mathematical precision. Now, in the service industry, quality control obviously looks a bit different. It's all about maximizing what we call moments of truth. These are those critical, real-time interactions that completely define a customer's entire experience. Take the Ritz-Carlton, for example. They ensured top-tier quality by strictly training their staff on 3 non-negotiable steps of service: offering a warm greeting using the guest's name, anticipating their needs before they even have to ask, and providing a fond farewell, again using their name. It is a highly calculated operational process deliberately designed to manufacture a genuine emotional connection. Which brings us to the end of today's explainer. As we've seen, operations management isn't just about boring spreadsheets and dusty factory floors. It completely dictates how we experience the world as consumers. So I want to leave you with a question to chew on.
Think about your very last interaction with a business. Maybe you bought a coffee or ordered something online. Was your moment of truth a huge success, or was it a glaring failure of operations management? Start looking closely, and I promise you'll begin to see this invisible engine operating everywhere you go. Thanks so much for diving into this with us.